We're on for our next episode of What's Up, Chuck, and I am very, very fortunate to have really some cutting edge perspective here today. Liam, I know I'm going to mess up the last name. It's Liam Mulcahy.
Yeah, you
Is
got
that
it right on
close
there.
enough?
Close enough. That was
And
perfect.
I just learned a little known fact about you, which you can share later on. And the
Yeah.
name of your company is Vieweo,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is basically, in so many words, it's an AI CO tool,
Yeah. hmm
really geared for commercial real estate brokers.
Yeah. Yeah. Happy to explain that a little bit, if that works for you.
Sure. Let's just really briefly talk about how we came together. And we have a mutual
Yeah. Yeah. I'd
friend,
love to.
Jesse Ayub from Lieberman Early. She's one of our friends in the business, a respected competitor, and she's doing lots of great things. And as always, we love to cheer the women and the less represented groups in commercial real estate because it's generally an old white man's business, which I am never proud to say that. But
Yes.
you and I first met at a CCIM breakfast, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, and you it seemed like you have your whole team there. So
Yeah.
what exactly is Vieweo, and how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah. So Vieweo is it's a platform that allows commercial real estate brokers to understand, monitor, and improve their AI visibility. And kind of how we got here was I met one of the co-founders, Avi, and we met at a tech event, and he was talking to me about AI discovery, and I knew a bit about it. I knew the contours of the search is malleable, and you can help adjust your content to get in there. But really, speaking to him, kind of prompted this idea that so much of search is now shifting from just traditional Google search and even these platforms kind of abstracted further to these large language models. Think Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity. And so we started talking to some real estate agents and some brokers on the commercial side about, like, are they interested? Have they gotten leads? And it was actually pretty surprising how easy the sales were and how much interest there was. So we ended up kind of formalizing the idea more, brought on our other co-founder, Niels Urbaniak, and the three of us kind of put our heads together to figure out this, like, go to market. And kind of early on we were looking at, like, how can we give folks like visibility score, and, like, how can you quantify it and really compare one brokerage to the next. And so we went kind of down that road for a while, and it was actually really quite tricky because in real estate, location is so specific, and you almost need, like, a different score for every specialty, every market, every sub market. So we pivoted to looking at who gets mentioned when you run tens of thousands of prompts. So we hit the API with various discovery prompts looking for questions like best broker in this market, this sub market, and happy to get into that
Yeah, and
data
you're going to actually show us
later
a
on.
live demo a
Yeah,
little bit
yeah,
later on.
yeah. It would be fun. I got Philadelphia pulled up and got your name that shows up in the results, which is pretty exciting.
I
So
hope
yeah,
it's at the
happy to.
top.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly.
interestingly, not long ago, a client came to us, wanted some help with acquiring a property. And I always ask every single client, how did you get to us? Did you read about, did you find our name in a phone booth, or did your neighbor tell us, or how did you find us? And he said, you guys are the first ones that came up on ChatGPT, which is kind of curious to me. So just so there's no confusion out there, Liam, who is your target audience, and what service do you provide, or what service do you sell?
Yeah, so I would say our target market is any commercial real estate brokerage in the country, but our ideal client is really the middle market, where the uh, the customer is still not, like, fully established, like they haven't locked in a broker, and so much of the middle market is it's kind of fluid, and people switch from one broker to the next depending on the deal. So you think Marcus and Millichap, Matthew, to the regional brokerages. The CBREs of the world are interesting to us. Hopefully one day they'll answer our call. But for now, like, really the middle market is super fluid and a really exciting space.
So you in short, you sign up some type of engagement letter with the firm, and you help optimize
Yeah, well, so
their ranking, and say ChatGPT is what I use. So I'll just
yeah, yeah,
probably keep referring to that.
Chat's an easy, pretty established one that everyone's at least played around with for a while. So we have a kind of almost like a data layer, which which is our main service right now. And you can see, I'll show you in a minute. You can see by market, by submarket, by specialty, who's showing up in these results
Okay.
across the prompts that we've run. So, and that's constantly changing. So the idea is that for a depending on the size of the firm, for a monthly fee, you can see this data and see if you're improving because anyone can run a single prompt, but to run this in aggregate and kind of get a lay of the land is actually quite difficult and expensive.
And so the service that you sell is to optimize the rankings?
Yeah, yeah. To I guess it would also be to understand the current lay of the land, and then we strategically show sources and also give some insight. We're building out tools and some functionality to help people improve, and we can get into some of those specifics if you're
So
interested.
so for all my competitors who are watching, they're gonna be empowered by this podcast after they see what you
Y-
can do.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Now, what's your background? Clearly, it's some kind of a tech background. How did you get to this
Yeah,
spot?
so I never if you told me 10, 15 years ago that I would be working in real estate technology, I'd be surprised. I I was looking to join a tech company. I was a few years out of college. I'd been teaching in a public school in Richmond. I was looking to get back into the corporate sector, eventually do uh, do some machine learning, data science work. There were a few companies in Richmond, one of them being CoStar, and I applied for a job, got a job in a research role there. I spent 2 years on the phone doing research, talking to brokers, investors, CoStar clients and in parallel, I was also getting a master's in data science,
Wow.
and that set me up really well for when I got promoted into a tech role within CoStar because I was able to marry the business side with the tech side. Spent about 3 years on the tech side there. Met my now wife. We moved up to Philly. Had to leave CoStar. Worked for a developer here in Philly for about a year,
Nice.
doing revenue management, a lot of like data science work, helping them make make smarter, better decisions, and then ended up actually like starting this company pretty quickly after leaving there, and yeah, and it's been a really fun 6 or 7 months.
That's awesome. And I've heard of CoStar. They're obviously a very, very big player in our industry. And that's cool that you're right in our backyard, right in my backyard in Philadelphia.
Yeah, yeah, and I love Philly. Expected to only be here for a year, and ended up staying for way longer. So we bought a house, and we're putting down roots here.
Nice. So what gets you excited these days? What are you seeing in from your perspective, from your chair
Yeah,
that gets you
I
excited these days?
I think the kind of there's just some really big questions that the commercial real estate industry is having to ask itself about, what is the role of different folks, like how do you differentiate yourself, and kind of the intersection point of like data and AI, because AI without data is kind of useless, and data without AI is also not very helpful. So yeah, that friction point and trying to figure out how folks can reposition themselves in the AI world for lack of a better term is really exciting.
And what's keeping you busy these days?
Well, this the working on the company has been keeping me pretty busy, and I've also been working on building some community in this space in Philadelphia. Started a commercial real estate and AI monthly meetup, which is pretty open to anyone who works in commercial real estate. With the caveat is that you have to have some interest in AI, and also if you work in AI, you have to have some interest in commercial real estate. It's Cascade.
Okay. If you ever drift out into the western suburbs, I'd love to catch up with you at one of those events.
Yeah, we'll do a suburb version.
And I know I mentioned Vieweo. Could you just spell that, or what's the best way to get on your website?
Yeah, so we have our website is actually Real Vieweo, REAL, and then Vieweo VIEUEO.com.
Okay, perfect. Switching gears a little bit here, and I've got just a little cheat sheet here to keep us on track. What
Great.
challenges are you seeing right now, or what challenges are you currently facing?
Yeah, I would say the biggest challenge, well, I'd say there are two. The first being is educating the industry. I'd say that we're pretty early in this. It's not a very crowded space, and a lot of the energy on AI adoption is focused more on augmenting the analyst, but actually educating brokers on the importance of not just marketing, but showing up in AI search and how valuable that can be. So that would be the first one. And then the second big challenge is structuring our data model to actually take in the various names that come back from the language model. So, for example, y- you go by Chuck, but you may
Yeah.
have some example like some places on the internet that you're referred to as Charles, and also variations of your brokerage name. And so we need to simultaneously give credit for showing up in the answer, but also call out the fact that there's some name variation there that might need to be addressed.
So those are more technical changes or
Yeah,
challenges
yeah.
rather.
So I would say the first one's on the education, go to market motion, and then the second is a technical challenge that just comes with the territory.
And what about opportunities that you're seeing in the market right now from your perspective?
Yeah, broadly in commercial real estate or with this specifically?
Broadly in your with your specific company and
Yeah,
from
yeah, with
your
what we're doing.
from Viewio's perspective.
Yeah, yeah. So I think there's a lot of opportunity in really what we're doing because it kind of fits between the operations side and the marketing side. And I think for a long time, brokerages have struggled with like really defining what they do and where they do it. And that to me, that's just such a massive opportunity now for brokers because you're able to put out content that defines where you work and what you specialize.
Awesome. Now, how are you doing with attracting clients? Would you say your sales are where you'd like them to be? I mean, you're
Yeah,
never
yeah, no,
in
no,
sales, you're never
that's
satisfied,
no,
but
never satisfied. Pretty, yeah, for where we are, they're going really well, and we're actually doing some work on building out some more of our tech stack so we can some really scale. But I think we've got the right number of clients and conversations going on. We've had a chance to talk to some really established players in the space, gotten feedback, and it's not like we're bringing home a ton of money right now, but definitely laying a good foundation for
n-
going
now
forward.
are you outsourcing most of that technical work, or is that something you guys do in
We're
house?
not actually. We thought about it. It's something that you see a lot now in the startup space where you have a somewhat technical founder or a non-technical founder outsourcing that work, but we really because real estate is so specific and it requires a lot of knowledge. We're trying to do that in-house and actually have a really good network. But between the three of us, we have a really good network of folks that can help on nights and weekends and
Okay.
where they can fit in.
Now,
But go
back
ahead.
back to that. Speaking of network and networking, back to that AI CRE roundtable you mentioned. How do
Yeah.
people find information on that?
Yeah. So we have a group on LinkedIn. I post on it pretty regularly and people will
Okay.
reach out to me to be added.
And what's
I
that
was
called?
born about it's called commercial CRE space X AI. I think X Philly and it's actually a private group. I need to probably make it a little bit more discoverable, but if anyone wants to join, they're welcome to reach
What is
out
that
to me.
one more time? CRE space.
X space AI
Okay.
space Philly. Yeah, yeah. Was trying to keep it pretty broad and self-explanatory.
What do you see happening over the next 12 to 24 months? The best you could guess.
Yeah, it's specifically in technology or broadly.
Both.
Yeah. Oh, that's yeah, it's really hard to make predictions these days.
Sure is.
I think anyone who makes, too much, too many predictions is kind of setting themselves up. But I will say that they're in the technology space as it relates to like commercial real estate. There's going to be a lot of, I would say, probably a lot of startups that don't make it. And then there's also just going to be probably some consolidation and I think the AI versus the data tension is really going to probably reach some sort of crescendo where folks are realizing the limitations of using AI without a good underlying data model and data source.
Interesting. And 2 more questions, and then was hoping we can jump into the live demo.
Yeah.
What trends are you paying attention to, and what are you preparing for?
I think the biggest trend that I'm following is really what's happening with work in general, and how so many things that I built my career around have now been almost abstracted away by AI. So really that's probably the biggest trend that I'm monitoring and trying to position myself around is like how do you stay relevant when skills that you've built over years are now just, no longer that useful. I spent years coding, and now you can prompt AI to write a lot of that code really quickly. So that's the biggest trend I'm seeing.
Now, when you take off, because I believe you will, you said you're, still very much in a building phase. What's the likelihood of, CoStar or somebody else like CoStar coming along and, either putting you out of business in one way or
Hmm.
another, or,
Yeah,
interfering with your ability to conduct business the way you,
yeah. It's definitely
whether it's, just you're really outgunned with resources, or
sure,
they tie you up with lawsuits, or, whatever it
sure.
may be.
Yeah, I think we're okay on the lawsuit side since but I would say the reason that I feel okay about where we are is that we're almost a layer above a lot of these different platforms. Like for example, I'm not shy about saying that one of CoStar's product is actually one of the biggest drivers of AI visibility when it comes to paid sources. So you can, if you want to improve your AI visibility, your LoopNet listing and your profile on there really helps get into
Interesting.
those results. So I view some of these players as almost partners,
Okay.
less so than competitors. There are some in the AI SEO space that probably keep us up at night, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and I would imagine that commercial real estate specifically is going to be one of the last things that they try to go after.
Interesting. Yeah, and I'm not a technical guy at all. So the coding and all this other stuff that you mentioned, I can barely, run my iPhone.
No, it's okay. I'm technical. I'm more technical than a lot of people, but less technical than a lot of people as well. Somewhere in the middle.
Do you mind if we take a deep dive now? And if you don't mind sharing
Yeah,
your
please.
screen, we'll take
Yeah,
a
I'd
look
be
at exactly what Vieweo does.
yeah, I'd love to. Let me flip over here. So I'm gonna go back to our homepage. So this is our homepage, and you can click here on the leaderboard that we have. And so
And
we
what we're
actually have
seeing what we're seeing now is all
yeah.
subscription based, correct?
It I actually believe that this is now open to anyone who signs in because we really want folks to understand this
Okay.
because there's a learning curve that comes with the space. So this right here is free to the public. Eventually
Okay.
we'll probably put a paywall when we have more data and are further along. But it's really interesting actually. So you might have noticed that we that overall these are some of the states we have. Overall, Colliers shows up, but actually that's because if you go to South Carolina, Colliers is actually like laughing the rest of the field by like an order of magnitude. So that's why like overall Colliers is showing up. But
Got it.
if we flip over here to Pennsylvania, we got CBRE, JLL. You're probably most interested in the Philadelphia market. So even here, it's not that interesting. It's not interesting to say that like CBRE shows up a lot, JLL, Colliers, but what we're finding is when you actually go into the sub-market level, so for example, if you go into Fishtown, some of the more regional firms actually start to appear. So
Interesting.
yeah, so it's really to me, it seems like the AI has allowed the large companies to leverage a lot of the data that they have in-house, but at the same time, I think it's also opening up an opportunity for folks that are at the regional level to really define their submarkets and kind of own that space. So, for example, if someone's looking for retail space in Fishtown or Northern Liberties or Center City, they can try to get in those answers by making their content actually agree with some of those prompts.
And you help people do that, correct?
Yeah, we give them direction on how they can improve, and then but right now, and one of our core products that we're really working on right now is a monthly subscription at the brokerage level to give people an understanding of this data and how like how it's changing over time. I'm
So
happy.
you'll show them the data and
Yes.
coach them on how to improve in certain
Yes.
submarkets.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
But
And then
it's
we're
still up
also
to the individual or the brokerage to do the work.
yeah, some of it, yes, for sure. And we're also looking at some off the shelf kind of tooling that we can also provide. For one thing that we're actually seeing, which is quite interesting, is we're seeing some brokers and brokerages create parallel sites just for AI, which is
Okay.
quite interesting. And so we've been thinking about, is there a way to take any given site and then just create a totally parallel site optimized for AI. And we,
Just, I mean, it could look like something you wouldn't really look at, like the
yeah, yeah,
common
exactly. Like
person.
it wouldn't be pretty. It would just be, lots of text and it would be trying to get you into those answers. And I think that's going to be something that really, starts to happen more, not just in real estate, but
Interesting.
yeah,
Like
kind of
a
everywhere.
like a wingman.
Yeah, exactly. That's good branding for it for sure. I'm happy to show you at the is there a I guess there are a few brokerages that you might find interesting. I'm happy to flip through a few. One of them that's pretty in terms of like good amount of data is in like Mark Similchat, for example.
Sure.
So what you can so what we can do here is we can actually give the brokerage level view. And so this shows at the market level like what prompts they're showing up on. And then you can see the property types, how frequently
It's a
those are
little
mentioned.
small on my screen, but
Okay.
hopefully
I can
when this
also
is
yeah, I can also voice it over.
no, yeah, yeah, that's fine.
And
Hopefully
then
when this is produced, it's a little bit easier to read.
exactly. And then so you can see some competitive rankings. You can see the brokerage team that shows up. You can see the markets that the firm isn't appearing in. And actually something we're really excited about is you can see the some of the sources that are driving this visibility. I mentioned earlier LoopNet, Traded is another driver of this. And then you can see by market and by submarket how the firm is weighting its online what like overall how is it positioning itself by market and by property type. So you can see that example Mark's Millichap is heavily invested in multifamily and they put out a lot of content to suggest
Okay.
that. You can see
Interesting.
also the like who else is showing up, and then you can see the prompts that are driving this, the prompts that the prompts that they're showing up in. So yeah, it's super interesting, and then your name actually does show up.
No kidding. I'm like a little guppy out here in the western suburbs in
yeah,
a
yeah,
very,
you're
very big pond.
yeah, exactly. But it did but it does actually show up. So let me
I'm glad to hear that.
so happy to actually see there we go. So we got you in two of the prompts that at least that are in this data set. So you're showing up in Chester County.
Which is where we do the bulk of our business.
Yeah. So get you're recommended when we ran this a few weeks ago, a few months ago about for top broker for owner user industrial properties in Chester County.
That's that's right where we
And
want to be.
yeah, and then retail space for national brands in Chester County. So
Interesting.
yeah, so you can see some of the sources and yeah, super exciting to help folks kind of show up and compete in the new AI world.
So instead of just kind of throwing darts against the wall, you help people kind of know what dart to throw against what wall.
Yeah, yeah. There's kind of an expression in marketing that I don't agree with, the spray and pray approach. And I think this allows you to be more strategic in where you're placing your your
Resources.
ads and your marketing budget. We actually one of the people we've been talking to a lot is you may know Bob, Bob Knackle by chance,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
broker. Yeah.
I know exactly who he is. I've had the
Yeah,
fortune
I
of
ask
meeting him.
people that, and everyone's like, "Yes, of course I know Bob."
Yeah.
But
He's
his,
he's like the GOAT.
yeah, he is. He's such a great guy. I
And
met him.
Faraz, you know Faraz in his office?
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely, yeah,
I knew Faraz
exactly.
before he was with him.
Very good.
Yeah.
So he's actually invested a lot in this space, and he got like I think I always forget the number, but it's around a $50 million deal from showing up in Perplexity.
No
So
kidding.
he's definitely a believer in this
Yeah.
kind of stuff, and and one of the guys who helps him a lot with PR, Ed Winslow, is talking a lot about like how the press releases that he puts out are driving this visibility. So it's super interesting how it brings the SEO. Bob's also got another person, Mo,
Mhm.
who she
I
does.
know Mo.
Yeah, so she does a lot of great work on the SEO side. Ed does work on the PR side, and the two of them together just create this great voice, so that you can show up in AI answers. And
I've spent time with both of them at, are you familiar with CREI?
yes, yeah, 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 definitely. I
Yeah,
haven't
so
been,
I've
but I want to go.
you should go. You should go. I think it's Atlanta this year. I think it goes
Cool.
back and forth, but I've met them both at the CREI events.
It's in the fall, right?
Mhm. It's in
Okay,
September.
yeah, I'm planning to go.
Yeah. Yeah, you would really enjoy it. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a great group. And do you know Aviva out in Denver?
I was introduced. We're LinkedIn friends, but
Okay, her last name is about this long, and I would butcher it, but
yeah, yes,
she's real big into podcasts and AI. She's also somebody who you should make sure you spend a little bit of time with. Maybe she'll have you on her podcast.
yeah. I'd love to talk to her.
She's like the master. She was very kind and spent a little bit of time with me, helping me to just give me some kind of general compass heading on how to put this together.
That's awesome.
So we're gonna wrap up
Cool.
here. You shared a little bit of personal history with me.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you a little known fact. Your name kind of gives it away, but
yeah,
if you don't mind sharing that in a little bit more detail.
yeah, yeah. Sure. So, yeah, the little known fact that the name gives away would be that my father's from Ireland, and actually my both of my mom's parents are also from Ireland. It was somewhat of an arranged marriage. I like to joke, but no, it's fun.
That's awesome. Just closing the loop here and closing down. What's one piece of advice that you would like to leave everybody with today?
I would say look at Claude and figure out like what tasks you do every day and try to automate as much of your work as possible because your competitors are doing that already.
And that frees you up to have more sales meetings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the more time you can spend in front of people and away from your computer, the better.
Okay. And how can people reach you? What's the best way to find you?
LinkedIn's great. Yeah, I would say that's probably the easiest, and the LinkedIn algorithm has come a long way. I've
Okay.
connected with people like pretty much all over the world through that. So yeah, if anyone wants to just add me on LinkedIn and shoot me a message.
Sounds good. I want to thank you again for taking a few minutes to show us Vieweo. And it sounds like we, the general public who don't subscribe, can still get a lot of benefits by visiting your site and, drilling
Yes.
down into some of that publicly available data.
Yeah. No. Happy to talk to anyone.
Awesome. Well, that's a wrap. So I'm going to call it quits here.